Howdy folks, and welcome back to another Britgrid intermediate Blender class. And today we're going to be looking at a tutorial by a gentleman called Saqib, I think it's Saqib Hussain. I'll post the URL in the kind of descriptive section of the video, along with the downloads for the required textures that you need to use. So I'm hoping today that we're basically going to be doing the modelling, some simple modelling, and I'm hoping that you will follow along. So I'm going to work quite slowly and hopefully quite carefully and try and explain what I'm doing, so that you'll be able to follow along without too much trouble. Okay, so let me just get that out of the way. So let me show you roughly what we will be trying to achieve. You can see that I've got a kind of relatively simple mesh. This isn't, let me put my screencast keys on. I can find them, probably there. Okay, I hope that will show up. This window, or this piece of building, isn't quite finished yet. We're going to make a couple of different variations of it. We'll make some round windows with kind of rounded tops on. In fact, it should be that way up. And we'll make some window blinds as well. But this technique that I will be showing or explaining is really good because it allows you to model something that looks quite detailed and complicated, but in fact is just a series of relatively simple meshes. This is a modular mesh kind of creation technique, and it's used a lot in game design, making assets for game design, just because it means it gives you a lot of flexibility. It's quick and easy to do, and it means you can achieve quite interesting and different effects with only a limited number of assets. Let me just show you. So you'll notice that I've got on the top of my screen here, I'm clicking the little magnet and I'm choosing vertex, snapping to vertices. You can see I've got closest selected, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually a plane. There's just a simple mesh plane, but the default size underneath here. So if I do Shift D to duplicate this one, just click, and I'm just going to move this across, and I'm going to try and snap it to this point here. And if I just click away from that, I mean, the texture doesn't match up brilliantly, but you might not notice that because the eye just sees kind of bricks. So you can see how easy it is to kind of replicate this and make a fully sized kind of brick building. We're just gonna concentrate on on some of the simple modelling today, and we may well start perhaps looking at texturing it next time, because we don't want to be in a rush. We want to take it nice and slowly. So I'm just going to save this. Scene, and then I'm going to go File and New. So I'm hoping to New General. That's fine. So I'm just going to put my shortcut keys back on again. Okie dokie. And I'm just going to join this area, just right clicking and dragging down to kind of do that. Let's just delete this. I just pressed the delete key on the keyboard. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in our reference plane, and by reference I mean our simple mesh plane that's at the default size, which is actually 2 meters by 2 meters square. So we can just go to Add, Mesh, and just select Plane. And there it is. Now I'm gonna rename this. So I'm gonna call this reference. If I can type it, can I type it? ENCE reference plane. So it doesn't get confused with the other plane that I'm just about to create. So we're going to now add in another mesh plane, which is what will be the start of our window, our wall section. Okay. Now I've unselected that. I've unselected this one just by clicking away from it, just because I don't want the new mesh that I add to be part of this existing mesh. So I'm in object mode, you'll notice. So I'm just going to go Add Mesh Plane, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to click on the little widget tool, and I'm just going to move that up. It doesn't really matter where you move it up to. I'm just going to move it away from the other plane. Now I'm going to go to my snapping tool up here. Oh, by the way, we're in Eevee rendering engine at the moment. Okay. So, and you can just choose from the drop down. Just gonna do that and do that. You don't need to do that. I'm just gonna leave it in Eevee for the moment. I'm gonna go up to the snapping tool. I'm gonna turn the little magnet on. Then I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna choose the vertex option. So vertex and closest. And effect move, that's fine. Now I'm just toggling into edit mode. Now I'm going to go to the edge select, because now what we want to do is we want to make the shape of our window opening. So I'm just going to select the bottom edge, and I'm going to press Ctrl and R on the keyboard, and then to accept that I'm just going to click the left mouse button. Sorry, I click the right mouse button. So that's created essentially, you know, it's kind of split the plane into 2 halves. Now we want to widen that edge, and I'm going to use the bevel command to do that, and that is just Control and tapping B, and then I can scale that out to roughly about the width that I want my window to be. So I think probably something like that would be good. And now we're going to repeat the same thing again. I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to press Control R. Oh, sorry, I right click then, and I shouldn't have done. I'm going to press Control R and left click and then hit the enter key to accept that. So that's now split the plane again, kind of widthwise. And I'm going to press Control B again, and I'm just going to resize the center section just so that I've got roughly a kind of window sized shape. Now what we want to do is we want to make a window frame to fit the individual windows into. To do that, I've selected face select mode. You can see I've got the face selected there, and we're going to use the inset command. So it's this little icon here. We'll try and get used to these icons. You can also press the shortcut letter I to achieve the same thing if you don't want to keep going to the tools. So I'm just going to press I, and then I'm going to inset that a little bit like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, I think what we'll do is select all of these faces. I'm just holding down the shift key. I'm in face select mode and selecting those faces. And now we're going to use the extrude region. So I'm just going to press on the extrude region. You can see this, we've got this lovely little widget. We could just move it down a little bit like that. And I'm going to select this inner panel. I'm going to do the same thing again, almost the same thing again, in so much as I'm going to actually, before I do anything else, I'm going to go back to the widget mode and we'll use the extrude region again. So I'm just going to press on that, move it down like that. I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to select one of these edges. Whoops-a-daisy. Let's go back to the pointer. So I'm going to select one of these edges. So I'm going to select this edge here. You can just see it being selected. Actually, I think I'm going to move that window frame down just a little bit more. So I'm just going to tweak that down a little bit more. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm going to select just this one edge, and I'm going to do Control and R to put a loop cut in it. If it doesn't cut, then just move your cursor closer to the edge like that. Then I'm just going to press enter to accept it. And do a right click so I don't move it. Oh, actually, no. Let me Control Z that. Let me do it a different way. So I've just Control Z that. What I'm going to do is I am going to, because I don't want to really cut the window. I'm going to separate this face just for a minute. So I'm going to click on that face, and I'm going to go up to mesh, and I'm going to say separate selection. Okay, so that has made this mesh into a separate item, a separate piece of mesh. So I'm going to go into object mode to make sure only that is selected. Then I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to click on the edge, click on the edge and make sure I'm in edge selection mode. I'm going to go Control R to do a loop cut and enter, and then a left click to split that plane. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this side here, because I know that that is half of the plane. I'm just going to delete it. So I'm just going to hit the delete key, select faces, and you can see that that's gone now. So let's go back to this one, and we'll use our inset tool again. We're just going to make another window frame, kind of the inside window frame. So we can go back to our inset faces tool, click on it, and we've got our lovely little widget. Now I'm just going to try and keep these windows so that they look about the same, you know, the inside part looks about the same as the outside part. So now we're going to extrude these. I'm going to extrude this piece. So I'm going to go back into, you know, the selection mode, move mode. I'm going to press L to select all these pieces. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to press Shift and click on the center section, because I don't want to move that. That will be the glass pane in a minute, but I do want to give this edge some thickness. So I'm going to go to the extrude region, click on the extrude button, and I'm just going to, oh, that didn't work, hold on, Control Z, let's try that again. I think I probably need to be in edge mode. Let's try that. Let's try it in edge mode. Let's see if I can extrude it like that. So we'll stay in the extrude region mode, and we'll just pull that down like that. That's a little bit too far, but it doesn't matter because we can always move it up again. And in face select mode, we can just go to the extrude option, and we're going to extrude this, what will be the glass pane. So we can go to our extrude region and click, and then we can just pull that down for about, you know, maybe a bit of distance there. Now what we want to do is I want to select all of this mesh, and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm just going to do Shift and D. You can see that I've duplicated it. Just right click there, because and now I'm going to move it using the arrows, and I'm hoping that I can get my snap tool working. Let's see if we can get the snap tool working. It may not. Yep, there we go. So I'm just snapping it into that corner, and hopefully that should be the right size, because it should be each of those. Oh, look at that. That's not quite right, is it? Okay. Well, anyway, I need to move that window. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it down, and I'm going to try and snap it to. I'm going to turn the snapping onto edges. So I'm just using that there, and hopefully, if I snap that to there, yeah, you can see that it's snapped to this edge. Now what I want to do is I'm going to select our original window, and I'm going to go into edit mode. What I want to do is I want to select this edge all the way around. Just go back to our move tool. So this go to edge mode. So I'm just going to select that edge. Now I'm going to do Control, I think it's Shift and Alt, and left click, and that will select all the way around the edge. And I'm just going to undo the magnet tool. I'm just going to pull that edge down a bit past the size of the area of the windows, and I'm going to fill that. So I'm just going to press the F key and fill it. I'm not terribly keen on that window there. Let me go into edit mode, because I can see that we're not quite snapped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my whatever this is, transform pivot point, to active element. I'm going to select everything in this particular piece of window with L. Then I'm going to shift and click this edge here to make it the active edge, and hopefully I can move that across here, and we can try. Oh, I might need to turn that. Might need to turn my snapping back on. Let's see if we can snap. We might need to go in here and say active. Let's see if that will work. There we go. So that's what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to achieve this bottom window being offset vertically from the top window. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, I guess we're going to join these back into a single mesh, or should we bother? No, I'm probably not going to bother actually. I think I might be tempted to scale these just a tiny bit, just so that we're not getting said fighting around the edge. So I'm going to set my cursor to medium point, which should, okay, let's join those two together. So let's do object join, so that we've got a medium point, and I'm just going to scale the window just very slightly. So I'm just going to press S, and I'm going to press down on the shift key, and I'm just going to scale it in a little tiny bit, tiniest tiny bits, like that. Okay. I think I will join the mesh back together. We might as well keep it one unit. So I'm selecting our windows, then I'm shift selecting our wall, and I'm just going to do object, and I'm going to say join. So we've got that. Now it's a bit difficult to see, so I'm just going to this option here, the shading option at the top there. You can see that we're in viewport shading at the moment, but I'm going to go to this little drop down arrow that says shading, and I'm just going to click on cavity, and that just allows us to see a little bit more the kind of shading and the shape of the window. The next thing I want to do is add in what would be a lintel, you know, at the top of the window. This is quite easy to do. You can go into, with this window selected, we can go into edit mode. Now I'm going to just select that edge and I'm going to press Shift and D on the keyboard just to duplicate it. So Shift and D, and I'm just going to move it up a little bit, and then I'm going to extrude it on this Y-axis, the green axis. So I'm going to go to the extrude region, and look at that, it's already showing us what we want. So I'm just going to pull that across here like that. And actually what that has done, that has made a new face. So what we can do is, I'm just going to, actually I'm not too happy with that, I'm just going to go back here and just drag that out a little bit more. Like that probably. Now I'm going to select this short edge, if I can, that one there, and I'm going to do Control and R, put my cursor over the edge that I've selected, press enter, and then press enter, and then accept it with a left click. I want to extrude these faces now, so I can select them both. I can go to our extrude region button, click on that, and I'm just going to extrude that up a little bit, almost like a square. Then I'm just going to select this top face. Actually that doesn't look quite like a square, so let's I'm not going to undo it, but I just want to move it up a little bit more. That. Then I'm going to select this top face, go to our extrude region again, click on that, and I'm just going to extrude that up a little bit more, and about another square, so it looks like that. So that's in fact going to be the top of our window. I think I'm going to also select this. I'm just going to go back to the move tool. I think I'm going to select this base here. I'm just going to tweak that down a little bit, so that we've got something like that. I'm kind of aware of the time that we're moving on here, so I don't want to make this too long-winded. I think probably, you know, kind of we're getting on for almost half an hour now. So I think at this stage we'll probably just save this as to where we've got to, and we'll look at next time, we'll look at making some slight variations of the window, and we'll look at starting to put our textures and materials onto the window. That's not particularly tricky, it's not particularly involved. We'll have a look at that next time. So thank you very much for joining and watching. Keep your eye on the Britgrid Intermediate Blender class channel for new content, new videos, updates, whatever. And do please, if you're finding this helpful, do please give it a like. So thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to save your work. I should add that. So I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm just going to call this, I'm going to call it New Modular Window Blend. So we'll know to use it next week. Save. There we go. Yeah, so keep an eye on the channel. Give it a like. You can't comment because I've turned that off because I'm a meanie. But yep, do tune in next time, and we'll continue our adventure at making this rather wonderful modular building. So bye for now.